So what we're going to start working with in this scrape is going to be a completely different unit on codes and ciphers, right? Literally all this is just coding. Noticing where numbers are coming from, what they're representative of, what all these things are in our daily lives that literally are there to protect us and actually to protect companies, seeing all these codes that actually exist. And the most basic one is literally analyzing check digits on barcodes, right? Check digits on barcodes. Now I'm not gonna lie, this is the first time that I've ever actually taught discrete math. And before actually starting to teach this class, if you would have asked me what a check digit is, I would have told you honestly, I have no idea. I've never heard of a check digit. I had no idea what a check digit is. I had no idea that those numbers on a barcode, there was actually a pattern until I actually started looking into it. And sure enough, there is a pattern when it comes to barcodes. Now, what a check digit is, a check digit is this number that's on a barcode on a UPC. And so literally, if you ever look at a product, right, you have, again, let me try my best, right? You have barcodes, right? And again, sorry that it doesn't look as good as it should, but I'm just trying to actually draw it as best I can. But whenever you guys have a barcode, right? On the side of any product, there's always this barcode, a UPC is another name for it, where it has these certain numbers. And the numbers that I have, because I actually do want to give them to you, because these things actually, since they do serve a very important point, I do want to give you these accurate numbers to show you, right? And then we're going to work with it, and I'm going to show you what they actually signify, because it's pretty cool. Here. So let me just make sure that the number is right. I'm sorry for ducking out of the way constantly. So let's say you guys have a barcode, right? This is a barcode. You guys have all seen this in your lives. It's how you actually buy products at the store. It's how you scan them out at the store by just scanning that. And then there are always these numbers, which I never understood. And once I started looking into it, I understood a lot more, and it made complete sense why it's there too. So first thing, this last number, what this last number is, that's the number that's called a check digit, right? And the reason that we have a check digit, it's always the last number on the right. A check digit's there because that number's there to show us that this entire barcode is correct. So that right there shows us that all these numbers, all of that's right. Because if this wasn't there, sometimes there could be mistakes. But the fact that you have all of these numbers in a barcode, this number here then is used to make sure that everything that's in the barcode is correct. I'm going to show you how to use it. So the only reason that we have a check digit is because it's there to make sure that there are no mistakes ever with the UPC. Because again, a barcode that has mistakes can have serious issues. Another lesson, in about 2 lessons, we're actually going to spend the day going over what all of these numbers actually represent. Because again, until I started looking into it, I had no idea. But all these different numbers represent different things. The first one that we're going to analyze is going to be this last one, the check digit. And how you actually figure out that check digit to see if there are any mistakes in that barcode is by applying this algorithm, applying a formula. And what the formula is a sequence of numbers, right? So to check if this check digit's correct, there's this pattern, right? And the pattern is always start from the right side, right? Again, never work with the check digit, pretend it's not there because that's what we want to check, right? Start from this last number, and basically that first number, you always multiply by 3. That's the pattern, right? So it's always start with the farthest number on the right, multiply by 3, and now you always skip a number, right? So we multiply this by 3, skip the 7, multiply the next number by 3, right? Skip the 3, multiply the next number by 3, skip the 2, multiply this number by 3, skip this 2, multiply this next number by 3, skip this 2, multiply this number by 3. So first thing you gotta realize, the way that they actually calculate and check to make sure that this is all right is you start with the farthest number right, not counting the check digit. Again, that check digit doesn't count. You start with the farthest number to the right, and you always start multiplying by 3, right? But you always multiply every other number by 3. So you started with 3, you multiply this by 3, skip, multiplied 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 by 3, right? And now the easiest way that I'm going to tell you guys to actually do this is actually multiply them out, right? So we have, here, let me write it in black now just so it doesn't actually get mixed up with the colors. So let's multiply them, right? We know that 7 times 3 is 21, right? So that gave us 21. Let's write our 2, and then we're going to add all of these up, right? So not only are we going to figure them out, we're also going to add them up. So 7 times 3 was 21. 21 plus 2. 5 times 3 is 15. 2, we didn't do anything to. 7 times 3, 21. We didn't do anything to the 2. 7 times 3, 21. We didn't do anything to the 3. 0 times 3 is 0. Did nothing to the 7. 0 times 3, 0, right? So okay, I just want to show you guys this. This is where all the numbers came from, right? 21 came from 7 times 3, right? So this came from there. Here, I'm trying not to draw too many lines just to not confuse you. 7 times 3 was 21. 2 came from there. 5 times 3 was 15. 2 came from there. 7 times 3 was 21. 2 came down. 7 times 3 was 21. 3 came down. 0 times 3 was 0. 7 came down. 0 times 3 was 0, right? So once we have all those numbers, we're going to add them up, right? And so if you add up all of these numbers, right? If you add up 21, 2, 15, 2, 21, 2, 21, 3, 0, 7, and 0, it's going to end up giving us 94, right? The total sum is going to give us 94. Now, that's the hard part, right? And again, it's a bunch of numbers, but it's just checking to make sure that the UPC is right. The way that we actually figure this out now is we have the total of 94. The way that you actually calculate a check digit is you see 94. We know that we have to add 94 with some number to give us our next tens place, right? Our goal is to always get to the next tens place. So 94 plus what? Closest number to the next 10 is going to be 100, right? So 94 plus what number gives us 100? And again, that 100 I just used because it's the next tenths number, right? So whenever you're always figuring out that number, it's the one that's always the next one. So you think of like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, right? Couldn't use 10 because 94 is bigger. Couldn't use 20, 30, 40, 50 because 94 is bigger. Same thing, 60, 70, 80, 90 we couldn't use because 94 is bigger. So the next one is 100, right? If we were working with the number, let's say 125, the next number you would use is 130 because it's the next tens place, right? But we'll practice more with that. So basically, we know since we're dealing with 94, 94 plus what will give us our next tenths place, right? And we know that 94 plus 6. 94 plus 6 gives us 100. That's where that 6 comes from. So the fact in seeing all of this, once we get 6, we know barcode works, everything about it is right. That's what a check digit does. It checks to make sure that the UPC, all of this algorithm that we go through to check to make sure that it's right, that when we do all of this, if you add the check digit with that, it ends up coming out correct because this always has to be a number that's divisible by 10, always, right? And that's how we always work with it. Let's try another one, just to see if you get the hang of it. But when it comes to barcodes, again, the point of this, always have to make sure that that check digit is always correct based on when we multiply and add all this up. And when we multiply it and add them all up, right? Figuring out the sum. Let's try another one, just to see if you guys actually get the hang of it. And again, it looks confusing because there's so many numbers, but once you actually see it, it's not hard at all. And again, it's the things that we never think about in everyday life, but yeah, they serve a purpose, right? So again, let me draw a barcode again, and again, sorry that they don't look too good. Okay. So we have this, right? next couple of lessons, we're going to go over everything down to why are there so many bars, what these bars signify, what those numbers represent, right? So this, I actually pull this UPC off a pack of Pepperidge Farm goldfish, right? I actually pull this off a packet of goldfish that I had in my cabinet. And again, it's things like this, like I said, you never think about, and then once you actually start looking into it, it starts making sense why these numbers are what they are, right? So what we're gonna end up wanting to find, our check digit, right? What's the check digit gonna be? That question mark, we wanna find that check digit. Let me just confirm that all the numbers are right, guys, because if the numbers aren't right, there is a mistake that happens, okay? So now, first thing is first. Same algorithm, right? To figure out what our check digit's gonna be, you always start with the number farthest on the right, and you always multiply that by 3, right? So multiply the 7 by 3, skip the 4, multiply the 5 by 3, skip the 8, multiply the 0 by 3. The zeros are always the easiest, right? You don't have to think. Skip the 0, multiply this one by 3, skip the 1, multiply the 4 by 3, skip the 1, multiply the 0 by 3, right? So multiply the 7, skip the 4, multiply the 5, skip the 8, multiply the 0, skip the 0, multiply the 0, skip the 1, multiply the 4, skip the 1, multiply the 0, right? And now once we do that, it's just us figuring out now what they're all gonna be. And again, this doesn't matter whether you go one way or another, it's all the same, right? So we know 0 times 3 is, let me use black, just to actually break it up so you guys aren't seeing the same color. 0 times 3 gives us 0, right? Plus, we know 1 did nothing to it. We know that 4 times 3 is 12, right? 1 comes down. 0 times 3 is 0. Remember, anything times 0 is always 0. 0 comes down. 0 times 3 again, 0. 8 comes down. 5 times 3, 15. 4 comes down. 7 times 3, 21, right? So again, where all these numbers came from, 0 times 3 was 0, brought down to 1. 4 times 3, 12, brought down to 1. 0 times 3, 0, brought down to 0. 0 times 3, 0, brought down to 8. 5 times 3, 15, brought down to 4. 7 times 3, 21, right? So now what we do, we add them all up, right? And again, let's do this one. So 0 plus 1 is 1. 1 plus 12 is 13. 13 plus 1 is 14. 14 plus 0, 14. Skip the 0, skip the 0. 14 plus 8 gives us 22. 22 plus 15 gives us 37. 37 plus 4 gives us 41. 41 then plus 41 plus 21 gives us 62, right? 62. So we have that, right? And again, let me just confirm to make sure. That would be 1, 13, 14, 22, 37, 41, 62. Perfect. So when we add all those up, again, gives us 62. And our goal is 62 plus a certain number. We want it to equal what's our next tens place, right? So since we're dealing with 62, can't be 10, can't be 20, can't be 30, can't be 40, can't be 50, can't be 60 because it's less than. So the next one is 70, right? So 62 plus what number gives us 70? And we know 62 plus 8 gives us 70. And the easiest way, even if you want to do that, is if you were to do 70 minus 62 gives us 8. So all of a sudden, we know that our check digit, this number that was here, we know that this number is 8. And again, that number is there to let us know that everything in this UPC would be correct based on that check digit, right? Again, they would give you that, but we wanted to actually calculate it today. That's how you actually calculate check digits, guys. But the one thing, always remember, you go through the barcode, you gotta make sure that you actually multiply by 3 certain numbers. You always skip one, right? When you multiply, you add them all up, And then to figure out the check digit, it's the sum plus a certain number to give us our next tens place, right? In this case, 62 plus 8 gave us 70. That's why our check digit was 8. And then the one thing I always just want you to realize, because I want to make sure that you guys get comfortable with it when you're checking the sums, right? Let's say that the sum is, I'm just making something up, 69, right? 69 plus what number would give us, again, our next number would be 70, right? 69 plus what number gives us 70? Well, that number would be 1, right? Our check digit would be 1 because 69 plus 1 is 70. Let's say that I had 103, right? 103 plus what number gives us, again, after 103 comes 110, right? 63 plus 7 gives us 110. That would be our check digit. If we had, let's say, 14, right, plus what number? After 14 comes 20. 14 plus 6, we know, would give us 20. So always remember, whenever you guys have the sum, it's the next tenths place that comes next, right? After 60s comes 70, right? After 100 comes 110. After 14 comes 20, right? Always remember that. If we had one that was, let's say, 38. 38 plus what gives us 40, right? Because after 30 comes 40. And what we know is that would be 2, because 38 plus 2 gives us 40. So remember, whenever we have the sums, these here that are circled, those would be our check digits, right? And those numbers would be there to show us that the barcode is correct. Hope this helped, guys. Let me know if you need any help, okay? Take care.